Create a narrative. Create a narrative. Create a narrative. Just keep it alive and don't dialogue. It's rare to share the shorts and shortcomings and come to find a sort of border for the supported portions. You find what's to creating a child for the having the life to create the creative natives and chosen nauseating deviant. Experience to appear the boardwalk for the life of the mere board games to the currency, the pesos, for thoughts for the page, attention for the tent for the intended, the tremendous and tremors, the trainer for the settlers, for the contended, the tenor heart for the heart beating, for the eardrums, for the ceremonial occasions, the cultists. The new generation of children who was at the first to come back to the last man standing up for the general elections and elite, to lit the wick, the wine of wickedness, and will find a rendering for the reality of the hard time to get into this form of the past of the pastors. Preaching full regulation, regardless of regulars, and reciting that for the residing, backsliding for the sliding back to line for the cycle of phases and labyrinth and surpasses or serpent for the repeating of repentance. Rather in love for the passion for the Lord, for the distributed divine, for the spirit to be able to make the ways of the seeds for the visible, for the advised those for the adversity, for the reveal himself, for the perpetuating appetite for the fast forward, those karma bites. Suck the flavor to the favorite. Taste out of the bitterness to the provoking excuses and exercising exorcism. Create a narrative. Create a narrative. Create a narrative. Just keep it alive and don't dialogue. It's rare to share the shorts and shortcomings and come to find a sort of border for the supported portions. To creating that child for the having the life to create the creative natives and chosen nauseating deviant. Create a narrative. Create a narrative. Just keep it alive and don't dialogue. It's rare to share the shorts and shortcomings and come to find a sort of border for the supported portion. To creating a child for the having the life to create the creative natives and chosen nauseating deviant. Experience to appear the boardwalk for the life of the mere board games and the currency, the pesos, for thoughts for the paid attention, for the tent for the intended, the tremendous and tremors, the trainer for the settlers, for the contended, the tenor heart for the heart beating, for the eardrums, for the ceremonial occasions, the cultists. The new generation of children who was at the first to come back for the last man standing up for the general elections and elite. To lit the wick, the wine of wickedness, and find a rendering for the reality of the hard time to get into this form of the past of the pastors. Preaching full regulation, regardless of regulars, and reciting that for the residing, backsliding for the sliding back to line for the cycle of phases and labyrinth and surpasses or serpent for the repeating of repentance. In love for the passion for the Lord, for the distributed divine, for the spirit to be able to make the ways of the seeds for the visible, for the advised those for the adversity, for the reveal himself, for the perpetuating appetite for the fast forward, those murmur bites. Suck the flavor to the favorite. Taste out of the bitterness and the provoking excuses and exercising exorcism. Expedited expediency for the deficiency for the deviant. Developing countries and coincide for the countless times of second-hand chances that for the chase of charities and chair away for the children for the future to present the states as Eddie has said. They are still simulated by the stipulations for the simple, the complicated, for the compelled, the push those for the premises and premonition for the notions and normally will apply with the comments. Or comment back to the comments. Coming back as messengers on the side with the media rights and wrong righteous the rights those for the right. Present presentations for the nations and the countless of countries and counties. Counted on saying but you can't find a contraction in the contract. Contrary. Continue for the concern for the conditions and consequences for the conversions, of course, that converse to converse, for the involved, convoluted for the congress and computations considered for the constipated, consequently conspiring, consolidated for the council, confused and confident, confidential information companies compensate, consumers to continue to connect and code non-con, find a comment for the conditions to consider for the conniving, contorted, conversion, contemplate, template, driven and grief from blessing, grace and gravitation of grave sites, vision and remember the vices that was left for the soul to the carnal for the caring and character for the charity for the rarity of change. Chase that chastise for the category for the allegations and legions for the alleviated for the deviance and default for the depression and deprivation for the privilege and primarily for the premature matters. Good thing that they do with the one to be is right for the habit, the one who needs that for the new, for the sympathy, for the summarizing, that summarizing for the reason to find a resonation with the real, or rather for the reaction, for the reanimate, for the intimates. Intimidating for the occasion of the daring date sites and this dating site, the solve for the heartbreak coming down the road. Ground coupled for the copy cooperation for the between the course of competition and the signing petitions and being petty for the petrified for the patron. Patron pro roll, wheels and at the payback for the payback. Back pay and backpacks that were told to take a hike. The ball snapping down to the field for the calm home. Confining in his rivals and after having arrived for the arena yet for the area still stuck by the areas defeat the perversions and convert the players and down to touch the body. shortcomings and shores are coming that for the coming, the sort for the abortive, for the supportive, for the portions of impotence. Competence for the sinners to be sent for the completely compelling spirit spread about for that clogged to blogs. Blind outside perspective, the spectator reality for the relocated for the found inside of deposits and despise that for the disparities compared to intuitively by the three. Trinidad society for the instead of the transbeat pretending to tender to opposite for the subject, for the objective, for the relative, the impact for the impulses like the heart beating on each other for the words that they were going to say. Which tied the union to the tide and fun and fundamental to the fun meant to be fun filled in emotions and emptiness and less than the fool for the folly for the many to tally marks the spot that awkwardly felt calling cowards by the name but indicating the dictator for that estate roaming with ramifications to horns that is bullying the bullshit from yearning. Journals in turn for turns and integrity. Integrating degraders of what they think for the teaching and taunts and not to talk about the broad about for the wild horse. A house of organic for the origins and corruptions and correspondence make identifying and waiting to wait. Heavy delay for the patients that are sick of the pain. Faced by the perpetrators who agitated for the aggravated for the cultivation and aggro came short for the growing knowing. Heights no wings will get you faking factors. Not to vacate but to also vacant vain renewables. Renovations and sitting ovations. Standing for no reason that sit there for the theory that symmetry indicates in the denial denoted for the notice that circumstances that stands that for the chance to lean on. High school to find a thought for conviction. Convoluting, loitering, and premises and premiere for the prematurely premeditates and mediators for the commentate for the taste of voices about the senses the spell before the penetrating. Impatience and patterns turn to the project like the projects of the gentrifications and projects of society. Sobriety and libraries shaking down the liberty for the dictator for the vaginal canals and penis and penetrator provocative for vindicated for the channels to chant after the day for the making and creating the child that will have the life to create the creative natives. Shared to see the shortcomings and shores are coming that for the coming, the sort for the abortive, for the supportive, for the portions of impotence. Competence for the sinners to be sent for the completely compelling spirit spread about for that clogged to blogs. Blind outside perspective, the spectator reality. Oh, the tongue-tied tongue twisters barely bear back, rarely shared to see the shortcomings and shores are coming that for the coming, the sort for the abortive, for the supportive, for the portions of impotence. Competence for the sinners to be sent for the completely compelling spirit spread about for that clogged to blogs. Blind outside perspective, the spectator reality for the relocated for the found inside of deposits and despise that for the disparities compared to intuitively by the three. Trinidad society for the instead of the transbeat pretending to tender to opposites for the subject, for the objective, for the relative, the impact for the impulses like the heart beating on each other for the words that they were going to say. which tied the union to the tide and fun and fundamentals for the fun meant to be fun filled and emotions and emptiness and lesson the fool from the folly for the many to tally marks the spot that awkwardly falling calling Howards by the name and indicating the dictator for that estate roaming with ramifications and horns that fit bullying the door shift from yearning. Journals in turn for terms of integrity, integrating degraders to what they think for the teaching and taunts and not to talk about the broad about for the wild horse. House of organic for the origins and corruptions and correspondence make identifying and waiting to wait. Heavy delay for the patients that are sick of the pain. Faced by the perpetrators who agitated for the aggravated for the cultivation and aggro came short for the growing knowing. Heights no wings will get you faking factors, not to vacate but they're also vacant vain renewables. Renovations and sitting ovations. Standing for no reason that sit there for the theory that symmetry indicates in the denial denoted for the notice that circumstances that stands that for the chance to lean on. High school to find a thought for the conviction. Convoluting, ordering, and premises and premiere for the prematurely premeditates and mediators for the commentate for the taste of wastes of the senses the spell before the penetrating. Impatience and patterns turn to the project like the projects of the gentrifications and projects of society. Sobriety and libraries shaking down the liberty for the dictator for the vaginal canals and penis and penetrative provocative vindicated for the channels to chant night for the day for the making and creating a child that will have a life to create the creative natives.